That's Jeffrey Epstein, and you're watching his final moments caught on camera before he'll be found dead in his cell the next morning. So the DOJ has recently released 10-hour-long CCTV footage of Jeffrey Epstein's cell the night that he was murdered. Now, prior to this, the public was led to believe that on the night that he was murdered, or suicided, all the cameras inside that cell were turned off.
Wrong video. In a letter, federal prosecutors said the jail inadvertently preserved video from the wrong tier at the jail. And as a result, video from outside the defendant's cell no longer exists.
But with the release of this footage, we now have even more questions. Like, first, what happened to that entire minute that was cut from the 10-hour-long footage? Like, as you can see, as it's starting to turn midnight, you see that an entire minute was cut from the footage. What happened there? On top of that, these two doors aren't Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Like, from the footage, you can see that he's led downstairs. So, we're really just watching two random cell doors. Nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Like, we can't see what's going on where he was led to. Now, the bigger bombshell is that the DOJ announced that there was no Epstein client list, which makes no sense. Like, for the past years or so, the Trump administration has been saying that they're going to release the Epstein files and the Epstein client list. Why are we backtracking now? Like, this is what the American people want. We want to know which high-powered people are in association with this pedophile. And if you think I'm making it up, just check out this interview that Donald Trump did with Lex Friedman.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, it endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Now, it's one thing if the client list actually never existed, but if that's the case, why would Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, come out and state that the Epstein client list is on her desk for the past couple months now? What happened to that? Let's go ahead and take a look of when she said that.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So clearly we have Pam Bondi acknowledging that first, yes, there is a client list. And second, it was on her desk for weeks. So what names did she find in there where she decided that she has to help take place in this cover-up? That's what I want to know. I'm sure that's what all Americans want to know as well. The day after the report was dropped, Pam Bondi also held a press conference and she answered some questions. So let's take a look at how she's backtracking now about her past statements about the existence of the Epstein client list.
I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide.
So there's a couple things I want to address. First, Pam Bondi is the Attorney General, okay? Do you really believe her when she says that she mistakenly said client list when she meant the Epstein files? Like, the Epstein files is the book of evidence that the FBI has against Epstein, and she knows that. And she knows that the client list is part of that evidence book, and it's a client list particularly with names of people who have been to Epstein's island. And she's trying to say, oh, I'm sorry, like, that's not what I meant to say. And she's trying to fool the American people. Like, I really hope everyone realizes that this is just a huge cover-up. Following Pam Bondi's statements, President Trump also reacted to the Bombshell report this morning, and he shared his thoughts. Let's take a look.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the death?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey,
I
Pam, could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
You can hear him trying to deflect from the question. And yes, there was a tragedy in Texas, but it's almost as if the FBI lined it up perfectly to release this report right on a date where a tragedy happened. That way, the president and the administration has an out whenever they're asked about these questions. They can always say, hey, we can't be focusing on the Epstein stuff. Let's focus on this current tragedy right now, which is the Texas flood. Plus, the way he got super defensive when the reporter asked him that question makes me think that he knows that he's guilty, and I think he's just trying to play some mind games to try to fool the American public. Honestly, it feels like the Trump administration is gaslighting the American public into thinking that they never promised to deliver on the Epstein client list. This was a huge part of their agenda, especially when Trump was running again. He promised to deliver us not only the Epstein files, but the MLK files and the JFK files. And the FBI has also stated numerous times that they had the client list on their desk. So I'm not sure why we're backtracking here. And obviously, what it's going to do is it's going to start spouting off more and more conspiracy theories, which I don't even blame them at this point. And speaking of conspiracy theories, I'm sure you guys all remember Elon Musk accusing Trump of being on the Epstein client list during their little fallout. And so with this DOJ bombshell report announcing that there was no client list, I think this just makes Trump look so bad, and I think this is a big blow to the members of the MAGA movement. There a lot of them, I'm sure, were counting on the Epstein files getting released, but obviously that's not going to happen. I think people were hoping that Donald Trump was more than just a politician, but it's turning out that he's kind of is just a politician all over again. And so I think a lot of members of the MAGA movement are disappointed, and I'm sure Democrats are having a field day with this. But that's it for this report. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys liked it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks guys. Bye.